Hello my chuffer friends. This week on the VLR, as I have now finished all the track work that I think I'm ever going to do on the track, I'm going to do a little quick history rundown of how I built the VLR. But first, let's start at this end. So the track originally started as a starter kit from Pico, I believe, which is just a circle of track. When I bought it, I bought some extra straights, which you can see here. I also bought a couple of sets of points, one of which, or turnouts if you're American I think, which only one is left down this end, but this is here. Now, I don't know why I got it in my head, but I wanted to build an elevated section of the track, which I did. This is basically completely made from reclaimed pallet wood that I found on the road, and I foolishly decided to try and make a semicircle of track out of straight bits without really doing any maths or geometry. So I just laid the track out and then just laid out the bits of block underneath and sort of just chopped it up to make it into a semicircle, so you can see kind of here. Sort of how ghetto that is really. And then also because I didn't want to be restricted into how high things were going to be and be able to mess that up, two of the legs are IKEA adjustable height table legs, which I bought. The other two legs are bits of reclaimed wood, which I have painted with deck stain, which all of this colour is basically deck stain. These two wooden ones go down into some cement, which I laid into the dirt down there underneath this mulch, which I have added. Underneath there is also in the concrete an inscribed VLR and the date that it was laid down, just for future me to find. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to have well, I had to stay at this height because my original plan, which I've now completed, was to go and end up on the concrete platform at the end of the garden. So I did think ahead, and I had to lay the track at this height, at this high, which is why these breeze blocks are here, for the height. Had a fun day at Bunnings trying to get those and explain why I only wanted 4. Yeah, so that's that. I also wanted some bridges, so I built these sides here, which is sort of like a little trestle type thing. It's not actually a bridge, it's just two things that look like trestle onto the side of the pallets. And then I built this one here out of a tree that I chopped down, or a bit of a tree that we chopped down out of the garden. Now you can see now that the track is just a siding here, but it did eventually go the whole way around, and that was stage 1 of the track, was an elongated circle with a couple of points, and there was actually 2 straight sections which ended up on these breeze blocks. And this was all ballasted originally with a gravel and mixed with dirt and some cement, which I tried to follow a recipe that would end up making moss grow, but I don't think I used enough concrete or actually enough dirt, so it all just ended up being washed away in the Australian weather. So now there is no ballasting at all really, some remnants left over here, but mostly it has now gone. So you can just see how I fixed the track down in places, and I just used silicone glue, which I thought would be good because it would hold down enough but would be able to flex with the weather and stuff, which has worked quite well, although really it's not really fixed down. You can lift it up and disconnect it and do whatever you like with it. That was like that for a bit, and then I thought, I'll just extend up the garden. So I bought a few more straights and another There's a little creature in there, and another little semicircle of track for the other side, and I built the front and the back straights. And that was good, although it did mean that I then really never ended up using the original small oval, because the trains always went up and round a big oval and back. These two long straights are just whatever that is, 6 foot bit of probably 4 inch by 1 inch plank from Bunnings or B&Q, whatever it is. Again, just screwed into the ends of the reclaimed pallet wood I had, and the same on the other side. And then the other side I think is actually set into concrete. This side I just angled a sort of spiky end in and just hammered it into the ground after digging the top layer of grass out, and it's done alright. It hasn't really sunk or moved at all, and also means that the damage to the grass underneath is pretty minimal if I ever wanted to take it up. In between those two sets of tracks I started planting things. Due to budgetary restraints, I had no real sort of planning of what I was going to plant, so it sort of came on in fits and spurts. This big thing at the end actually existed in other houses we've lived in, and I've sort of dragged it along with us in pots and have planted it up, same as this now yellow thing here. So they were sort of in, and it kind of set a bit of a vibe for the railway in sort of like big, broad, leafy things. Also, I don't want to be having to sort of garden all the time, so I sort of want stuff that is going to be a bit resilient to the weather we have here. This stuff down here, it's all a bit of a mystery when it comes up. I bought a pack of assorted Australian flowers similar to what I put in over here, and new stuff just keeps appearing. There is also a lot of mint here, which is very nice. I don't remember planting it, but I must have done, and that's doing really well. And it's sort of soft enough for the trains to just pass through, along with this long thing here, which seems to just grow every year, and these really nice white things, which have only just come up this year. So this was all sort of phase 1 of the planting, and then phase 2 is this one, which was about when I got the GoPro, and there's a video of me and my daughter going to the garden centre to get that. Then phase 3 of the planting, I should also point out that there was these 2 little trees over here, and then all of these succulents, which actually went in with the original sort of oval. So they were here first, and this other section here. And I was originally going to carry on all the way up, but then I sort of went to this leafy thing instead. So yes, they were actually phase 1. Then phase 2 was the 2 big leafy things, along with these little privet hedges here, which have really not grown as much as I wanted. And then phase 3 was this middle section, which I was on the path to doing a bit more of, and then the COVID lockdown hits. So I think feasibly there'll be 2 more big leafy things for this, and I will leave the grass section here so I can get to the other side, which is exciting. Then very, very recently was given a gift of some track extension from some ex-colleagues of mine when I left a job, which enabled me to think about extending into this concrete area at the back, which I've now done, which has been quite successful. It's a bit of fun and games getting levels and things right, but that is now done, and I haven't really driven any trains around it recently because I've been a bit too busy, but it has all sort of sustained itself and not collapsed or anything else. Had a bit of a grass outbreak here, which I have attacked with Roundup, and it has now gone away, and I had a bit of fun doing this new bit of planting up here, which has sort of ended up being another little extension to the cycling garden with a cactus and this little bush thing, which I don't know what it is. And interestingly, this cactus seems to be growing other things with it. Look, don't know what that is. And with everything in this garden, we are constantly under attack from, I've been calling it bison grass, but I think it's actually some other type of grass that begins with a B, that is sort of cow based. So it's a bit of a losing battle trying to keep weeding that. Now, as part of that as well, with these bricks, none of these bricks are actually concreted in. I've sort of discovered you don't really need to do that because I'm not really running very heavy trains, so nothing's really moving underneath. And all the track also is not fixed down either. I don't think you actually need to do that. You do occasionally need to check that the little rail clip things haven't moved apart enough so the tracks are going to disconnect. Otherwise, it's all stayed together for like over a year and a half in the Australian weather. So yes, that's quite good. I don't think you really need to fix anything down unless you're running sort of long, heavy live steam trains, because they do make the track move. So yes, this is where we're at. Now the next phase is moving up that way. At the moment it's just very utilitarian. The trains go up there, they go round, you don't really see them because they're behind the planters, and the train comes back down again. Ultimately, I would like something to be a bit more constructed up there, but I'm not one that's really into sort of building kind of little miniature stations and putting little mini people on it, because this really is a garden that happens to have a railway in it, rather than like a live scale representation of some fictional railway in my head. Although if that's what you do, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I wanted. In my head, this is like a water feature. It just happens to be trains instead. So yes, don't know what I'm going to do at the end of the garden, but we will have to have a think and do something with it because it's a bit bleak and awful at the moment. Thoughts about making a deck up there so you could sit up there and watch it go round, because the view actually from this end of the garden, I'll give you a brief look at that. It's actually quite nice and bucolic and lovely. So actually the sky this year at the moment looks almost painted. I'm always amazed since I've put this new lens on this GoPro how good the colours are. Anyway, what else? That is it. Oh, the only other thing is, it's kind of humorous. I built this bridge out of polystyrene and I did paint it, but the rain, I painted it with PVA glue mixed in because I thought that would hopefully somewhat hold the paint on, but the rain is definitely washing the paint off, so this bridge is slowly going back to white. Not good, although not necessarily bad either. That's it. Don't have anything else to say. It's a brief history of the railway. Potentially next week we'll do a bit of a rundown of the rolling stock, because I have some trains and some carriages that I should have talked about. If you want to know anything else, leave a comment in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Choo choo.